Good afternoon. Welcome to Around the SEC. I'm your host, Stephen Willis, alongside Corey Burt and Jeb Beecham. We're going to go through a little bit of last week in SEC football, and we're going to cover all the games of this week's SEC football. How you guys doing, Corey?
Man, I'm great, man. Just another day. It's managed to stay dry somehow. We practiced indoors somehow, and getting ready to travel up to the world of beach in Hendersonville. So hope everybody else is staying dry, and I hope everybody down in the Gulf Coast, down in Louisiana and Florida and Gulf Shores, Alabama and Mississippi are staying safe with Hurricane Zeta coming through. So hope that's happening for you guys, and I hope it's been a rough hurricane season for those people. So I feel for them.
And Beach is the home, if I'm not correctly, to the running back named Hurd that kept Alvin Kamara off the field at Tennessee. Is that correct?
That is correct. Beach. Yeah, the Beach Buccaneers. They are they're a great program. If they had a influence, you would probably look at them and say, that is Wisconsin personified in a high school.
So they're running a lot of I formation.
Not just I formation, but like 32 personnel type stuff, like triple stack. You have like the two wings with the tailback. Just any possible way you can you can align 32 personnel is about what they do.
Yeah, and Wisconsin, Stanford. Yeah, sounds about right.
Yep.
Jeb, how are you doing tonight?
Not bad. It is kind of rough already being isolated, and now the rain won't even let you go outside much, but kind of made the last few days kind of a little dreary, but looking forward to this though today.
I walked two of my paths in the rain today, so I only did 2.5 miles today, but that happened because of the rain going through. I was soaked after one of it. I had to take a shower. I was so cold. And it was like I went to a presidential rally. So let's go on and talk a little bit. I want to talk a second about Auburn's lucky horseshoe against Kentucky. Kentucky scored a touchdown that was not reviewed, and it was ruled that they didn't score a touchdown. And right after that, they threw an interception that was run back. They spiked the ball backwards, which everybody could tell it was. It was a fumble. And also against Ole Miss, there was an obvious fumble recovered for a touchdown. They literally are three things away from being 0-5, but instead they're 3-2. What's going on with this lucky horseshoe they have going on?
I don't know, man. They seem to find something, or Gus is pleading with the SEC officials to save his job so that he doesn't get fired. And Saban just said, you know what, we've got enough breaks. You can have your little breaks, Auburn. We'll beat your ass in Thanksgiving, but you can go ahead and get all the calls now, and we'll be fine. So, yeah, I mean, I just can't believe how egregious, and on a serious note, how egregious these things are. Like the spike backwards, the touchdown that wasn't against Kentucky should have. I mean, they were beaten by Arkansas. But that should have counted as a loss instead of a win. And then don't get me started on the Ole Miss call. That one might be the worst. I mean, you're not going to review it when the however many millions of people that were watching that game could see his finger go backwards. You could see his whole hand move, and you don't call that? Come on, man. That's just terrible. I wish I had half the luck that they have.
It reminds me a little bit of 2014, where you had Laquan Treadwell break his leg going in for a touchdown, the crazy tipped pass against Georgia for a touchdown, and then the kick six.
Yeah, it's. But this time they're just not good enough to.
Yeah.
And honestly, though, there's a difference between getting really lucky and then just having the referees decide games for you over and over and over. It happens every now and then, and it's just part of football, and you have to learn to live with it. But that's 3 times down the season. That's just insane. Like, I can think back to even Tennessee that run the national championship.
3 times in 4
they had great luck, but it wasn't the same thing as referees decide a game.
Yeah.
3 times in 4 games. Yeah, it's just I don't know what to even think of that. That's very frustrating if you're not an Auburn fan. I guess very great if you are an Auburn fan.
And it's really bad for Auburn because they're not good enough to deserve the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-mm.
This isn't created luck. This is just like the SEC owes Auburn money luck.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand
somebody in that officiating crew had money on that game. It would not shock me if that came out.
I really
If they had
understand the
action on
SEC's
it.
policy of not wanting coaches to come in on that, but I also can't blame Lane Kiffin for not being able to keep his mouth shut because at some point it's just that frustration bowls over.
Oh, yeah. This week was hilarious on Twitter. Did y'all follow the Lane Kiffin stuff?
He's still going. I love it, dude.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love the Knox's college fun thing he's tweeting, and is fantastically petulant is what he's doing.
Yes, and I would probably do the same thing because he got hosed. To put it nicely, I've got other words to describe it, but I don't think, Steve, you want me to say those words yet. But it's awful, man. They outplayed Auburn for the most part, and they deserved to win that game, and the refs said nope. The refs were like the soup Nazi from Seinfeld. No soup for you.
Yeah. Ole Miss is 2 games beating themselves or the officials doing whatever they're doing away from being 3-2. Instead, they're 1-4, and they have a little bit of a quarterback problem right now. They got to get well against Vanderbilt, and we'll get into that, but there is a little bit of a quarterback problem.
Yeah, I would say so. I think it's some things are starting to unravel for Ole Miss, and that they just got to get right. And it's a great week for them to get right, and we'll talk about that next block. So, I want to talk about what in the hell is going on with LSU. I cannot keep up with them. I cannot predict them. They're like freaking up and down.
I've got a theory on this, and that is that South Carolina plays the aughts style football. Mike Bobo's calling a 2006 offense, and Bo Pelini is comfortable calling a defense against that offense.
Yes, you're right.
That's possible.
Man.
Several teams seem to be real up and down, but LSU is definitely the personification of it.
Yeah, I think a player or two entered the transfer portal again this week for them. TJ Finley played a pretty good game though against South Carolina, but they're leaning a little bit on Terrence Marshall Jr. and somebody's going to stop the run. They're reverting back to that old man football that was LSU 3 or 4 years ago. It's just wrapped up a little bit differently, but you can tell it's hitting that comfort zone. And teams like Alabama, like Georgia, like even Florida are going to eat that up. You're going to have to throw the ball, and other than Terrence Marshall, I don't think they're showing it at the moment.
Yeah, they've definitely got some holes, and I think they were just fortunate that South Carolina could not stop a nosebleed last weekend, and they took advantage of that. So the question is, at the quarterback position, do you stick with TJ Finley or do you go back to Miles Brennan? Like, what do you do if you're LSU?
How badly is Miles Brennan hurt?
Well, it's supposed to be what did they say? Lower body injury. So that could be a hamstring, that could be a hip.
He's due back next week, right?
Yeah.
Week, right?
I don't think TJ Finley is good enough to where you Wally Pip Miles Brennan. I mean, the offense is more capable with Miles Brennan than it is with a true freshman. Can you imagine a true freshman lining up against the Alabamas and the Floridas of the world? That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, that is. And yeah, I guess you do go with the I didn't know if you guys thought he Wally pipped him or not, but yeah, I was going to say that maybe you should go with Miles Brennan there. So but yeah, South Carolina just continues to baffle me. They continue to disappoint me, really. LSU continues to baffle me. I can't pick them for the life of me. I don't think I'll ever pick their games right. And Missouri, Eli Drinkowitz, man, they're figuring some stuff out.
Yeah, I really like the way their offense is going. I like the way Kentucky ran 36 total plays for the whole game. Just a masterful game plan. They knew Kentucky wanted to play slow, and they just out-slowed them. It was 1985 football dressed up in 2010 offense. It was amazing.
Yes. I enjoyed watching this one, man. They just Missouri just will play any style of football you want. They're kind of like the chameleons of football. They just kind of play however you want them to play. Connor Basilick is he's starting to impress me a little bit. He's doing some good things. He's getting some things together. They're starting to kind of gel a little bit, and they're starting to. You can see him slowly buying into Eli Drinkwitz. So this is good to see if you're a Missouri fan. They've been battle tested for sure.
Well, if you listen to my other podcasts, you know that I've said that continuity and the 40 hours of lost video because of no spring and no actual fall camp leading up to the season has led to coaches making really wrong personnel decisions. And coaches are notoriously slow at making decisions when it comes to their team, especially when it comes to personnel. And now it's starting to even out. They're starting to catch up a little bit. And you'll see players like Connor Basilick or the drop 8 zone against Matt Corral. And you'll see teams starting to adjust and adapt and kind of grow into themselves as the season progresses.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're going to see it. You're going to see it. The only team that's not adjusting to personnel is Tennessee. They're trying to figure out. They're trying to square peg round hole Jared Garantano into that quarterback spot, and it's just not working. I've been pounding my fist on the table. I know Garantano's not going to get you what you want. He's going to get you a losing record is what he's going to do because he cannot play quarterback at Tennessee. I'm sorry. I hate to burst you guys' bubble. He can't do it. And the fact that you don't have anybody ready behind him is a freaking abomination. I mean, Jeb, you probably agree with me there, right?
I definitely agree. And I understand why the coaches are frustrated with that because Garantano really is. He's like the ideal, size. He's got the athletics, the arm strength. I think he could be a great quarterback. He's just not getting it. And I don't know what part of that, not being a coach, I don't know what it is that he's not picking up correctly. But whatever it is, at this point, he's not going to get it. And there's just no point to keep, like I said, just banging your head against the wall with that.
Mentally, mistakes snowball in him. He doesn't take care of the ball. He makes bad decisions, and then he makes worse decisions trying to make up for his bad decision earlier. Just snowballs on him. He's not mentally – he's a bad quarterback. Physically, yeah, he can make every throw. He can move in the pocket. He's got good fundamentals. He's got everything physically you want as a quarterback, but mentally it's just not there, unfortunately.
Tennessee, what they don't have, and it's amazing that they do not have this. They do not have a a high floor quarterback. Everything is either potential, all the potential in the world with the bottom just completely dropping out. There is no bottom. And there isn't a safety pick right now of Tennessee. Maybe Harrison Bailey's that guy.
We don't know because
we don't know.
They don't give him any reps except for a damn JV scrimmage. So we don't know where his floor is. I mean, coming out of high school, you can tell he's going to be a dude. But
well, I have a theory is you play Garantano against Tennessee because no matter who goes out there against Alabama, they're going to look
they got a bye week
terrible. Yeah, they got a bye week coming up. Don't put the freshman in and have his confidence destroyed. Just let Garantano go out and Garantano it.
Yeah, because I Garantano that game was going to be a blowout no matter what.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
All right, that's the end of the first segment of Around the SEC. When we come back, we'll get into this weekend.
Only 10% of us get enough daily exercise. And that number is dropping. Nearly 30% of us are overweight or obese. We spend 6 hours a day in front of a screen.
As a result, we now have a shorter life expectancy than our parents.
But give us the right start in sports, and we'll never stop. Learn how at active4life.ca.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis from Positively Ole Miss. We're almost done with this break. We'll be back with good information quite soon.
The military has been in every generation of my family, and so has VA. It wasn't easy for my dad after Vietnam, but VA helped him and my mom get the home they'd always wanted. My grandpa's been coming to VA since World War II. They even helped him lay to rest one of his battle buddies from Normandy. And me, I followed in their footsteps and served with pride. And now that I'm out of the military, the GI Bill's helping me with school. Every generation of my family has served, and VA has served us all.
Welcome back around the SEC alongside Corey Burton and Jeb Beecham. I'm Steve Willis. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter at @TheStephenWillis or at Old Positively. You can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Pomcast. Follow our YouTube channel at Positively Ole Miss, and of course we're on Twitch. Join us there at Positively Ole Miss, all one word. If audio is your bag, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify. Let's see, there seems like there should be some more. TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and Pandora. Corey, any ones you want to join in on?
You can find me on the Believe Network. I've got 2 shows on there right now. Believe in Georgia Dogs, where we talk all things Georgia, Israel Troop and I, who's been on this show. And then at Illegal Motion, which we talk national college football, not just SEC. We go around the country. We talk all conferences, even Ivy League. Some. If you're a conference and you play football in Division I, we're probably going to talk about you at some point. So check that one out. It's Matt Perkins, myself, and Josh Cook. So we got some Big Ten love in there. And, of course, I represent the SEC. So check those out on the Believe Podcast Network. We share airspace with a lot of greats, including the real Coach JB of the Slapdick Podcast. We share a network with him. We share a network with Takeo Spikes. He does one. Just all kind of good podcasts out there, and you just got to find your right flavor. So check us out.
And as I've said many times on my other podcasts, I'll say it on this one. We are going to go completely video, hopefully by May or June next year. That means Corey's going to be video. That means Jeb's going to be video. You get to see my ugly mug, and we're going to put elements in there as well to make it more enjoyable for you. It's the next step of podcasting. It's going to be pretty cool.
Hey, Steve, if I get to 100,000 followers by then, I'll go shirtless.
What?
Yeah.
What?
So tell people to start following me. I'll go shirtless and paint my chest.
I just don't know if that's incentive.
It is.
Yeah.
Do you not see my picture?
Okay. The show is kind of going off the rails here. But if you'd like to see Corey's gratuitous nudity,
I got you all flustered now.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm just picturing you without a shirt on. Let's get into the games this weekend. Florida at Mizzou. Florida hasn't played in a couple of weeks. Mizzou coming off 2 straight wins, and their offense is kind of doing what they need to do. They're a well-coached team. Elia Drinkwitz has them going in the right direction. Florida, 6 more COVID cases this week. It feels like this could be a weird game, Corey.
Totally. They haven't played in 2 weeks, first of all. You had all kind of COVID, including your head coach. Just practice, I'm sure, has been a nightmare. Well, it's been non-existent up until, I think, Monday. And they were finally able to get out there and practice. I'm sure they're missing people. I'm sure things are just weird. So I'm sure with all of that, you have a lot of distractions. So, you never know what you're going to get. Are they rusty? Is their timing going to be good? In 2 weeks, how much out of shape can you get in 2 weeks when you're not doing anything? What happens to a team like that? We'll find out with Vandy too later, but what happens with that? So it'll be interesting to see if the two Kyles can remain in sync and Missouri's playing really good football right now, so that'll be another challenge. This Florida defense, they were already under fire, and Missouri, they can score with LSU, and then they can slow down and grind the game to a nub against Kentucky. So, however you want to play, they're going to match your tempo, and they can chameleon right there with the best of them. So, I'm kind of worried about Florida's defense and just kind of how the impact of losing your entire linebacker room to COVID 2 weeks ago. I'm wondering how that's going to affect things. I'm wondering how, the lingering effects of those guys that are recovering and off of quarantine, what that's going to be like. With Cam Newton in the NFL, he got COVID and he just hasn't been the same since he came back. He's been his judgment's been kind of cloudy. He's somebody that was really sharp at the beginning of the season. So I'm wondering if that's going to affect the Florida players in a similar way. So, there's just a lot of variables in this matchup.
Yeah, I agree. The COVID is really going to be what determines this, because I don't know how Florida's going to play with it. I agree. It just makes it difficult to know what to expect. Normally, I would think Florida's offense is really just too much and going to overpower Missouri. I would definitely be calling this all for Florida, except for I don't know how COVID is going to affect that. So I agree with you. It's going to be a really interesting matchup just to see how a team coming back from and who's still currently getting cases like this is affected on the field, which unfortunately is just a reality in 2020 right now.
And Mizzou matching tempo, they're showing they're really good at doing that, and they can play your game just as well as you want to. They can go high speed against LSU. They prove that. They can slow it down, as you said, against Kentucky. It'll be interesting to see if they can do this at a middle level against Florida, because Florida's not going to run tempo, but they're going to go a little quicker than Kentucky.
Yeah, they will. I mean, they like to go at pace. They like to, they like to get the ball in and out. I mean, they're not a snap the ball every 15-second tempo type team, but they do move. And, they have two great players, Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts. Don't discount Kadarius Toney. He's an honorary Kyle for them. And they just have a good explosive offense. Their run game is I think the run game lags behind their pass game a little bit. They're not quite as balanced as they want to be or should be. So that's a concern. If Missouri can really stop the run and force them to be one-dimensional, they can pin their ears back and focus on stopping those weapons in the pass game. So, look for them to do that, and also look for Missouri to maybe try to play some ball control stuff to keep those guys off of the field.
If you're ready to go fast, if you're ready to have tempo, Ole Miss is at Vanderbilt this weekend. They snap the ball really quick. Vandy and Derek Mason always has something for spread offenses. I expect the Ole Miss offense to be run heavy in Nashville, and that should cover it, because they are going to drop back and force Ole Miss to drive the ball.
Yeah, they will. They absolutely will. I think Vandy's always going to have a good defensive game plan. I think you can, I think scheme-wise you can kind of see what they're trying to do, but they just don't have the horses to execute it all. I mean, you can kind of tell they've got guys in position, but they just can't do it, man. They really can't. And it was pitiful to watch them against South Carolina, because what do we know about South Carolina? They're not a great team at all. And maybe it caused me to get some false hope that they beat down Vandy. Maybe I thought they were getting better. They really weren't. I guess it was just a mirage. But
Vandy having 56 scholarship players had something to do with it.
Yeah, that doesn't help. So they literally don't have the horses. So that's just I don't know. I don't know what you do up there with Vandy. I don't know what you do with Coach Mason. I don't know how that all is going to shake out. But it's kind of bad. And I think that if there's a team that Ole Miss needed to get besides BYE, I think it was Vandy. The Dr. Commodores came to town just in time to heal them up.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think if Vanderbilt was at full strength this season, they would have too much luck this weekend. But right now, hidden by COVID the way they are, there's not much there Mason can do except get the people who are there ready to play as best he can and And they always do play hard. He gets them ready, and I'm impressed by that every time I see him play. But unfortunately, it takes a little more than just heart to win the games.
Yeah, and for Vandy this season, their offense is averaging 256 yards per game. Not passing, not running, total. So that's a problem for them. But that's also having a true freshman quarterback.
Is that bad?
Yeah. That's not great, Tom.
It's not good.
Yeah. Alabama and Mississippi State. Bama's favored by north of 30 points. Mike Leach kicked 3 more players off the team. Kylan Hill opted out for the season. It seems like things are falling apart a little bit in Starkville, but at least they get Alabama, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's, when you talk about games that to get them right, I mean, the Crimson Tide come into town. Wait, no, that's not good. We knew that things were going to get worse before they got better for Mississippi State. I think, they caught LSU off guard and they took advantage of an advantageous situation where LSU had it seemed like when they played LSU showed up to the park and it was like, Steve, when we joined a new soccer club and, we're shaking hands and meeting our teammates for the first time. And, we're playing the best, we're playing a team that's very athletic and
play, man.
And we don't know how to play together. And so that's kind of like what LSU was. And Mississippi State took advantage of that because they have a very simple system on offense. So they can do things like, throw for 623 yards. So, against a team that's discombobulated. Well, teams figured them out now. And, Alabama's watched a couple minutes of tape on them. And I think Saban may have spent a little time getting ready for this one. But, it's going to, once Leach gets his guys in there, I think you'll see a different team. I think you'll see, surely you'll see some improvement. If not, he'll be gone. But, I'm interested to see kind of how they play. Do they come out and they play hard? Do they get worse? Do they lay down and get beat by 50? What happens in this game will be kind of telling as far as, okay, do these guys truly believe in Mike Leach and there was some malcontents, or is this team just completely done with him? And we'll find out soon enough.
I hate talking about Alabama for the same reason I dislike talking about Vanderbilt, but on the opposite side. Vanderbilt just can't get anything together right, and I hate seeing that. With Alabama, everything is just running perfectly, and I just hate talking about it. The only impact Tennessee had against Alabama at all was a terrible one, and that was injuring one of their star players. And even that won't really be an injury that they suffer from. I mean, Alabama still has so many other weapons to go to. I hate that it happened, and even as a Tennessee fan, I never want to see anybody get hurt. But Alabama is just terrible to talk about. Sorry.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Yeah, Mississippi State fans take solace in the fact that every player is a system player. Everybody used to say system players if it's a bad thing. No, every player is a system player. And when Mike Leach gets his guys that fits his air raid into Starkville, it's going to look a lot different than a combination of Joe Moorhead and Dan Mullen's guys trying to run the air raid.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get guys that have unique skill sets as far as being able to get open within these concepts, and that's part of what happens. I mean, you need a cerebral, accurate quarterback. Kind of, you need Gardner Minshew, that type of quarterback. You need who was the guy that was before him? He played for the Titans for a minute.
Ben Joe,
Nick Folk,
just DJ Clocker.
Is it Folk? Luke Falk.
Luke Falk. Yeah, Luke Falk. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
He played for the Titans for a minute, then got cut.
Yeah, very short.
Miami, and then he actually started a game for the Jets. Poor guy. So, yeah, I mean, you need somebody that's just accurate, and decisive.
Most successful Mike Leach quarterback, is it Cliff Kingsbury, at the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals?
Could be. I always kind of thought like the first one that comes to my mind is Graham Harrell.
Yeah, but he just couldn't fit. He'd always be the backup to like Aaron Rodgers. up in Green Bay.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, if you're going by that, then the most successful one's Gardner Minshew because he's starting for the Jaguars. he he forced the Jaguars to trade a guy that left him with $21 million in dead cap space. So, I guess by
Oh,
definition.
and also anybody that's looking, if you want to see somebody creating an offense like he created for Johnny Manziel at Texas A&M with Kyler Murray, watch Arizona. It is coming and it is happening in the NFL.
It's so exciting, man. Kingsbury's done a tremendous job of adapting that system to the NFL, and it's really a thing of beauty to watch. I mean, they were truly one piece away on that offense of being really explosive, and they got that piece in DeAndre Hopkins. I bet Kingsbury is sending Bill O'Brien a gift basket for Christmas this year.
Well, Bill O'Brien's probably going to need it because he's out of work. That's the end of this segment on Around the SEC. Again, hope you're having a good time. Thank you for listening. We will be back right after this break.
Only 10% of us get enough daily exercise.
And that number is dropping.
Nearly 30% of us are overweight or obese. We spend 6 hours a day in front of a screen.
As a result, we now have a shorter life expectancy than our parents.
But give us the right start in sports, and we'll never stop. Learn how at active4life.ca.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis from Positively Ole Miss. We're almost done with this break. We'll be back with good information quite soon.
The military has been in every generation of my family, and so has VA. It wasn't easy for my dad after Vietnam, but VA helped him and my mom get the home they'd always wanted. My grandpa's been coming to VA since World War II. They even helped him lay to rest one of his battle buddies from Normandy. And me, I followed in their footsteps and served with pride. And now that I'm out of the military, the GI Bill's helping me with school. Every generation of my family has served, and VA has served us all.
Welcome back Around the SEC. Stephen Willis alongside Corey Burton and Jeff Beecham. We're talking about SEC games this weekend, and we're going out to the Plains right now to talk LSU and Auburn. Auburn started as a 2-point favorite. Now they're a 3-point underdog. I don't think odds makers know what to expect. I don't know what gamblers know what to expect. I don't think anybody knows what to expect. This game could be one that Auburn gets right. This could be a game that LSU breaks through. Nobody knows.
Do we know if Miles Brennan is playing?
I have not heard. They're probably, Ed Orgeron is going to probably keep that close to the vest because, it's always good if you have multiple quarterbacks. The Rohan Davey lookalike that played against South Carolina is just waiting in the wings.
Rohan Davey.
Come on, he's a big guy.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah.
I think, I don't even know what to make of this game because, Auburn had their moments against Ole Miss where they looked like a competent group, but, I think ultimately Ole Miss outplayed them. And so I think there's some chemistry problems there at Auburn. I think, if you want to know really what it looks like to quit on a coach, I think you're starting to slowly see that at Auburn. Malzahn can't control those offensive players. They come off the sideline. They're acting a fool. They're yelling at each other, and you can't have that. And you can't have those visible displays of I'm not saying that no other team in the country has players yelling at each other, but you don't see it quite the same way that you saw it, that you're starting to see it at Auburn, where they're like yelling at each other. They're yelling at the coaches. Coaches are yelling at them. There just seems to be no respect and no control over there on that sideline. And I think most Auburn fans are about ready for Bo and about ready for Gus to load up on the Gus bus and ship out of town, go back to wherever, send Gus back to Arkansas State or something. Who cares? Just get him out of Auburn. That's what they're hoping. They're mad at the officials. Auburn fans are mad at the officials because they're 3-2 instead of 1-5 or 1-4 or whatever their record should be. So, the bright spot for Auburn, they did a great job recruiting at the tailback position. Tank Bigsby, somebody I want to highlight. He's going to be a special dude. He's just a freshman. If they can get him going, and if they can get, if they can find some answers on how to get Seth Williams the ball, how to get Anthony Schwartz involved in the game, and how to take advantage of mismatches and one-on-ones that are going to be created because people are doubling and bracketing Seth Williams. They've got to kind of find a way to take advantage of all that, and they just haven't been able to. And they don't have any continuity. It just doesn't seem like their system. It just seems like you can see the power struggle going on between Gus and Chad Morris. Chad Morris calls a series and Gus calls a series, and it's just discombobulated. They got a lot to figure out.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating to look at with Auburn being a team that has just gotten extremely lucky or a lot of help from the refs to get to where they are. And then you look at LSU and their wins are against Vanderbilt and South Carolina. Neither one of these teams has actually looked very good at all, but they've both found ways to win. I mean, LSU, I guess, against South Carolina had a good game, but I just don't think South Carolina is really that good, to be honest with you. But I want to say that LSU has a good chance in this game, but who knows? It looks like the referees may have something to say about that. And apparently Ed Orgeron doesn't have near as much pull as the state of Alabama when it comes to our SEC refs. So I have no idea.
He can
what to
offer
expect
all
in
the
this
Red
game.
Bull he wants.
I'm sure he scares them a bit, but not as much as Alabama.
Low-key game of the week this week in the SEC, Texas A&M versus Arkansas. If you're an Ole Miss fan, watch this game because how Texas A&M tries to defend Arkansas is going to be real similar to what they have to do to you. So pay attention to that. But if Arkansas gets any offense at all, Kellen Mond's going to throw them a few.
Mm-hmm. They are. I mean, this game could go, this game could be, depending on which A&M, if the A&M team that comes out against Florida comes out against Arkansas, it's going to be blowout city. I think, they have firepower and they can pour it on, and they can pour it on quickly if they want to. But if the team that came out against Vanderbilt shows up, which is a distinct possibility, because it seems like if you play a physical brand of defense or just a physical brand of football against Texas A&M, it just seems like they don't have an answer. Vandy came out and punched them in the mouth. They almost won the game, but Vandy was being Vandy, and they couldn't pull it out. So they lost by a very small margin when they should have been. They should have been gotten a 50 spot hung on them. So, if Arkansas comes out, they play like they did against Ole Miss defensively, force Kellen Mond into some mistakes and force him to be careless with the football, then, we're going to talk about, how impressed we are with Arkansas, and, is this one of the best teams in the West? Are they competing now? And, you're going to start hearing some of that talk and some of that chatter, which I think might be a little premature, but that's neither here nor there. So, for the sake of I want it to happen, I hope they come out and pound Texas A&M. I hope they hit them from first kickoff to triple zeros, and I hope they continue with their physical brand of football. I hope they bring pressure on Kellen Mond. They're going to have to stop Isaiah Spiller. I mean, they got a lot of weapons to try to neutralize for the Aggies, and so they're going to have the work cut out for them. But they've done it before. They can, with an offense that has a lot of weapons, they found a way to ball up Ole Miss and force them into 7 turnovers. They did something similar with Auburn, where they forced them into a near loss. but they got help from the refs, so that didn't work out. But I'm interested to kind of see how they come out. If they come out guns a-blazing, it might be a long day for old Jimbo.
Outside of the beating that Arkansas took from Georgia, they've played just way above what I thought they would this season. It's actually been a lot of fun to watch, and I'm really interested to see how long they can keep that going, if they can really sustain that. If they're not going to, I hope they do this week, because I'm with you. I'd like to see them come out and beat Jimbo Fisher and A&M. If they're going to give it up, I hope it's next week when they have to come out and actually play Tennessee. But with my luck, I think this streak is going to continue for at least a couple more weeks for Arkansas. So I think that'll be a fun game to watch. Now, A&M has been good the last couple of weeks. They started off rough, but I think they've pulled things together. So I think kind of know what to expect from A&M. It's just, can Arkansas continue to play out of their minds like they have?
Barry Odom at Arkansas is the ultimate tough guy, and his defense is all about being more physical than the opponent. And let's take our 3 stars. He's kind of the perfect fit for the Arkansas job. But is there another quarterback that you would rather have on your side in a street fight than Barry Odom?
I don't know. That's tough, man. Maybe Orgeron. I wouldn't mind having him in a street fight. He'd go crazy and take out a whole gang of people.
Boom.
Yeah. Maybe not more so than Barry Odom, but yeah, I wouldn't mind having Coach Boom.
Derek Mason.
Yeah, Derek Mason. He will. He'll take out some legs. Who else? Let's see. What am I thinking of? DJ Durkin will just creep everybody out. He'll show weird videos while you're trying to eat of like animals hunting and do some like weird mental torture. I still don't understand that hire. I really don't understand that hire.
They used to make fun of him about that whenever all the Maryland stuff was going on with Dirk, and they were kind of piling on about him showing sharks hunting and feeding. And now he's at Ole Miss, where they are the land sharks, and they do the shark thing where he can actually do that and not be weird. It's kind of funny that way.
Yeah. I mean, has he gotten not weird? I guess he's not the head coach, so I guess he can't be too weird if he wants to keep a job.
I think they're going to be okay, but there's just certain players that on offense or on defense that they need that has a certain skill set, and right now they do not have it. They are lacking at the hybrid star position, and it's so deficient it's messing up the whole defense.
Well, they're young across the board too, aren't they?
Yeah, and Sam Williams missed basically all of fall practice, so he's just now rounding into shape, playing the buck position. So, I mean, we'll see. Anyway, Georgia versus Kentucky in the last game of the weekend. A little bit of old man football on the agenda for us, although with Todd Monken and the boys and Buster Faulkner, I imagine Georgia's going to be a little bit more, I don't know, modern than when Jim Chaney was the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I'm so glad Jim Chaney is not in our situation right now, having to deal with this quarterback mess that we have at Georgia, because I think we would bungle it kind of like what Tennessee's bungling right now. So I think it's you're starting to see Monken develop his system. I think it's these I guess you'd call them hybrid air raid guys. They're all very similar in how they roll out their systems. Like you see Lane Kiffin slowly building this system. You saw that happen at FAU. You're starting to see the development of the system at Ole Miss, especially when there's no spring and a weird training camp. You can't throw it all in at once because you just can't. You haven't had the time to work on some of the details that it takes to time out and some of the motions and creating mismatches and things that those offenses predicate on. And so you're starting to kind of see. One of the things I would like to see at Georgia is they need to find a way to be more explosive and have more explosive plays and more chunk plays, because it's just so laborious watching the Georgia offense go. I mean, they just make it look so difficult. And Alabama, all they have to do is flick of the wrist from the 10-yard line, and off he goes.
Yeah, and it's the
They
same level athlete.
So
Same level athlete.
It's not like Alabama's recruiting 5-stars and Georgia's recruiting middle school kids to come to forego their freshman year of high school to come play. I mean, it's not like they're getting service academy type kids who fit only one niche. They're recruiting the same guys. They have explosive players too, and you just don't see it. And maybe we'll see it soon. I hope. I don't know. Somebody's got to emerge, and there's got to be, in order to be a great team that pops off the page, you have to have those explosive plays. You have to be able to just rip the heart out of teams. We played Hillsboro this past weekend, my high school team, Hillwood, and one of the things, we were 7-7.5, and Hillsboro, they're pretty good this year. Like they've I want to say they beat Pearl Cone. They hung with Beach. I mean, they're playing some good football. We were tied 7-7 with them at half. Probably should have been up 17-7. We missed an opportunity for a touchdown, and we just barely when I say barely, he grazed the goalpost, grazed the crossbar as it came down short of a 35-yard field goal. And Steve, as well as anybody, high school special teams is a crapshoot.
Yep.
So, and we should have got another crack at it because they were all sides, and their nose guard hurdled our long snapper. So that's illegal, but they didn't call it. But what's my point in all this? Big plays, explosive plays, chunk plays are very demoralizing. Opening kick of the second half, touchdown. Very next series, we get the ball. We get a first down off a fake punt. We got some momentum. What do? Put the ball on the ground. Not only do they recover, but they pick it up, scoop, and score. Now it's 20-7. Get the ball back. We drive to about midfield. We've got good field position. We feel pretty good. If we punt, I think we'll get it back, and we have a chance of cutting the lead. What do? Our punter bobbles it. What do? They pick it up and score. And then 2 series later, our quarterback drops back, goes to pass. His arm goes forward. The ball does not. Fumble. What do? Anyone want to take a guess?
Scoop and score.
Scoop and score. Yeah. So now it's 26-7. So it's 26-7, and we've had the ball 4 times. And it was 7-7.5.
Man, it sounds like y'all had a little bit of quicksand in that game.
It was more than quicksand. It was like teleport sand.
It was a Shane Falco special.
Yeah, we blink and all that happened, and there were still 7.5 minutes left to go in the third quarter. That's how quickly it happened. Yeah. It was unreal. And then we blink, and it's 47-7. And we're like, what? How did we get here? So, needless to say, big plays. They help you with momentum, and they're very demoralizing for one, and very motivating and uplifting for another. So it's something that Georgia's got to do a better job of getting. I think they can get some big plays in the passing game against Kentucky. Kentucky's very susceptible against the pass, and that's pretty sad to say that Garantano I think just threw another pick 6 to Kentucky just now. So he's an outlier. That was an outlier, but they're mostly bad against the forward pass.
As JT Daniels any better? Is he healthy?
Not really. I think he's getting there, and I think there's a possibility that you will see him at some point. Maybe if Georgia gets a big enough lead, you might see him come out and get some reps. But he doesn't have the mobility yet. He does not have the mobility yet, and he's still got a lot of soreness in his knee. So between series and stuff like that, he can't go more than a couple series without his knee kind of getting a little sore and stiff on him.
Okay. Around the SEC, when we come back, picks. Get ready for some picks.
Get some picks. Surely we can get better.
only 10% of us get enough daily exercise.
And that number is dropping.
Nearly 30% of us are overweight or obese. We spend 6 hours a day in front of a screen.
As a result, we now have a shorter life expectancy than our parents.
But give us the right start in sports, and we'll never stop. Learn how at active4life.ca.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis from Positively Ole Miss. We're almost done with this break. We'll be back with good information quite soon.
The military has been in every generation of my family, and so has VA. It wasn't easy for my dad after Vietnam, but VA helped him and my mom get the home they'd always wanted. My grandpa's been coming to VA since World War II. They even helped him lay to rest one of his battle buddies from Normandy. And me, I followed in their footsteps and served with pride. And now that I'm out of the military, the GI Bill's helping me with school. Every generation of my family has served, and VA has served us all.
Around the SEC, Steve Willis with Corey Burton and Jeff Beecham. It's the most decorated time of the week. It is picks time. Last week, we all went 1-3. Becky went 0-4, so we had a obviously terrific week. I am in the lead at 16-14 overall for the whole year. Jeb is at 13-17. Corey is at 12-18. He is kind of channeling the New York Jets at the moment, and Becky is at 14-16.
I'm tanking for Trevor.
Yeah, he's working on it. Although, hey, I can't wait to watch Tua this weekend. He was one of my favorite college quarterbacks. I get to watch him in the NFL finally. Ole Miss is minus 16.5 versus Vanderbilt. I think they're going to try to drop 8, and they're going to try to do what they're doing. I just think their offense isn't good enough to score more than, say, 14 points. So take the Rebs in that one.
I agree. As hard as Vandy, I think, will play on defense, it's not going to be enough to slow down Ole Miss too much. And like you said, Vandy can't score, so I'm taking Ole Miss on that one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ole Miss. I mean, I think given some of the problems that they have, I still think it's, I still think Vandy doesn't have much in the tank to be able to stop them. I think Ole Miss figures a few things out across the board, and so I'm going to take the Rebs.
All right. Becky took Ole Miss in this game. We're moving on. Georgia favored by 14.5 points versus Kentucky. Kentucky runs the type of offense that is eaten alive by the Georgia defense. Take the dogs all day long.
I did as well. I think Kentucky, one thing they've done really well on defense is kept them in games is turnovers. But I don't think Georgia's going to cough up the ball to them near as much as Tennessee and the other team I'm blanking on at the moment did. So I'm taking Georgia to cover that one.
If Stetson Bennett can figure out how to hit a check down, this game might hit 50 very quickly. Otherwise, I don't think Kentucky's going to score much. I think Kentucky's going to have a hard time not only crossing the 50, but crossing the 10-point barrier with this defense. It just the matchup of it of the two teams just couldn't favor Georgia's defense any more perfectly. And so I think the offense is going to get off, and they're going to get off to a great start. They're going to hit some explosive plays. They're going to have some things figured out. They're going to work out the kinks that they and learn from the mistakes they made against Bama. I think they win in a huge way in a tune-up game for the Gators. Give me the dogs.
And Becky is taking Kentucky. LSU -3 at Auburn on the Plains. I think I am the only one, maybe, that actually has faith in Auburn and think they're going to take last week as a springboard, or maybe I just do not like LSU.
It could be that, or it could be you're just assuming Auburn will get the favorable calls again. But I think their luck runs out this week, and LSU wins this one.
Yeah, I've trusted Auburn, or I don't know. Maybe I haven't given Auburn enough credit. I don't know. Who knows? I was right when I picked South Carolina. I was wrong when I picked them against Ole Miss. But I could have been right, should have been right, thanks to the rest. I wasn't. The fact that Vegas doesn't know what to do with this game makes me feel better about not knowing what to do about this game. I'm taking LSU I'm taking LSU -3. I think they'll cover that. I think they'll win. And, I think they figure some things out.
All right, Becky is taking LSU. Mississippi State is getting 31 points against Alabama on the road in Tuscaloosa. I'm going with Alabama, lay the points. Too much chaos happening in Starkville at the moment.
I chose Mississippi State to cover this one. I do not think they'll come close to winning, but if they can just put up a few points on the board, maybe they can keep it under 31. And I don't feel good about that pick, but that's what I'm going with.
I never thought I'd hear the day of Alabama has an explosive offense. They have an explosive offense. I think if you put 15 people out there on defense, I still think they're going to score 38 points. And I don't think Mississippi State's going to score at all. Maybe a field goal. So I think this one's going to be like a 42-3, 48-7 type ball game. It's going to be really tough sledding for the Bulldogs of Mississippi State. I'm taking Bama, laying the points. They've covered all year long.
Becky in this game is going Mississippi State. Next game, Arkansas getting 12.5 points against Texas A&M. I'm going with the Hogs just because I think Kellen Mond is going to throw them a couple, although there is the potential for Isaiah Spiller to be the game changer that we're all afraid that he can be.
This is true, but Arkansas has played so much better than I thought they would. It's been kind of fun. I'm going to keep riding that train and say they at least cover. I don't think A&M is better and will win the game, but I think Arkansas can keep it pretty close.
Yeah, I do too. I think Arkansas will keep it close. They play a great brand of defense, physical brand of defense, and like you said, Steve, Kellen Mond is susceptible to tossing in a few. I think if there's any sort of kinks or confusion with Texas A&M, Arkansas might win this outright. So I don't think either team's going to blow the other team out, and I think it's going to be a tight one regardless. And when I say tight, I mean even a 2-score game within 10 points, I still consider a tight game and a good margin. And I think Arkansas is going to cover that because I don't know that Texas A&M has the ability to blow anybody out, and unless your name is Texas State or Lamar University or some FCS school, but they're not going to blow out Arkansas. This 12.5 is way too generous, and I'm going to take the Hogs plus 12.5.
As Arkansas is being taken by Becky as well. Finally, we have Mizzou getting 13 points versus Florida. This one I picked just because Florida is wearing the blue helmets. They have the fire uniforms this weekend. Go Gators.
This one is
Steve.
Kind of a toss-up because, honestly, we don't know what to expect with Florida coming back from all these COVID cases. I think their offense is capable of beating Missouri by well more than 13. It's just will they play like it this week? I know Missouri's getting better, but I'm going to unfortunately assume Florida comes out playing well and take them in this one as well.
I think Vegas forgot that Florida's been off for 2 weeks and they've had a rash of COVID cases. I don't know if this is just because I really hate Florida or if I think they're going to be rusty and there's no way I think they beat Missouri by more than two touchdowns. I'm taking the Tigers here. They're playing much improved football. Florida, we have no clue what they're going to look like on Saturday. How much rust. I mean, they could come out and win. There's nothing preventing them from coming out and winning by 30. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think Missouri's at least going to cover even if they don't win. And part of me thinks Missouri might come out here and win this thing outright.
All right, and Becky is taking Missouri as well. Also, before we get out of here, I want to say congratulations to the Big Ten. You made it 1 week of all the football games before the cancellations started because of COVID. Sorry about that, Wisconsin. That quarterback looked fantastic, but he is gone for 21 days as per your policy. This has been Around the SEC. Go ahead.
You've had a great season, Wisconsin. Now we'll see you next year.
Yeah, exactly. We'll catch up with you in January. This has been Around the SEC for Corey and Jeb. I'm Steve. See you next week.